All right, let's take a look at the shoulder. When you're having a little bit of instability, thinking maybe you might have some labrum, things at play. What does that mean? Let's take a look. So I have, if you'll notice, I've cut off part of this joint capsule so we can see the inside and you can see where the actual labrum is because it connects to the joint capsule, but it sits right here just on the rim of the splenoid fossa, and you can see it just basically makes it a little bit deeper and have a little bit more support. Okay. Now if we go and we put the rest of this capsule back on, you'll notice that where this is a sheath that comes around the biceps tendon that we'll see in just a second, it blends right on into this joint capsule, and then the joint capsule itself blends right into the labrum. So I just wanted to give a good overview of what that really looks like. Now let's go ahead and add on one layer of musculature. So if we already saw where that labrum attaches, we know that this all connects down. This is the sheath that goes around your bicep tendon. So I'm going to go ahead and, since we've seen it, take off that joint capsule so you can see the actual tendon where it comes all the way up inside, goes across the top of the shoulder, and attaches right here into the labrum. So anytime people have kind of repetitive throwing or things like kayaking where arm is going back behind you, it can be rather sudden or jerking, or crashes where you land on a shoulder or you land on an arm and things are jammed, we can always consider the labrum. Sometimes you'll hear about clicking, popping, and that is because a little flap of it can get pulled. The slapped here is what that's called, the superior labrum anterior posterior. It normally pulls front to back. So that is that. I wanted to go over another couple things that are in the front of the shoulder. So this is the other biceps tendon. So this one right here is the long head of your biceps. This is the short head of your biceps, and it comes up and it attaches to your shoulder blade in the front. Okay, so both of them are attaching to the shoulder joint. It's just whether it's the shoulder blade and therefore the top of the shoulder joint or just actually into it. And what I want you to take a look at is when we spin this around, if you're looking at where this attachment point is, a lot of times you'll hear about rounded shoulders and see people have their shoulders be kind of visually in front of their ears. A lot of times we've got to pay attention to bicep and we've got to pay attention to this pec minor, because where they both attach onto the shoulder blade, you can see how that would give it, if there was some tension points there, it could potentially, it doesn't want me to draw on 2E pen, it could potentially pull forward and kind of tip the entire shoulder blade forward. When we get that happening, anytime there is tipping forward, which is in most people in general though, you'll see how this space here, because if you can picture, this is again shoulder blade, if you can picture it tipped forward while also realizing that all this space here has to be nice and clear for things not to pinch. As soon as you tip forward, there's a little bit less space here and things can get a little bunchy, pinchy. That's where you start hearing about impingement syndromes. So I just wanted to give an overview there. Now let's go ahead and add on the nerves, because that is other things to always pay attention to when you've got general front of the shoulder pain, because there are nerves that refer pain here. So it can seem deep inside, but it might have negative tests for labrum and might have not quite the instability tests of hands-on examination, so then I always like to look at nerve. So let's take a look. Actually, I'm going to go to the back side first, because we're going to look at the nerve that actually does sensation to the shoulder joint itself. So I'm going to take off. This right here is your suprascapular nerve. So it does sensation. Let me tip it up so you can kind of see. Sensation to the ball and socket. It also does sensation right here to your AC joint. And it does motor control for all of your rotator cuff. So as again with that tipping forward, if we put on this connective ligament here, right here, when the shoulder tips forward, this ligament puts pressure on this nerve right here and it can impact and send you some funky sensations. Other one I wanted to take a quick look at is this guy right here, supraclavicular. This one is much more sensory in general, so it's going to do the skin as well as it's doing your SC joint right here. So if you get a lot of kind of funky sensation, That can be one that we want to take a look at, and it stems from higher up, but I just wanted to be aware. Okay, and then last big one that I wanted to show you. Let's come back in here. Okay, and this is your axillary nerve. Where it comes through here, this axillary branch, it ends up feeding into a couple other nerves. But if you can tell, it has all these branches that come out wide, and it'll do sensation out into the deltoid region. And then this is the muscular branch of it, so it does your deltoid, so your medial delt. Okay, posterior delt and anterior delt. Sorry, you can hear my dogs in the background. All right, those are the main ones nerve-wise. Let me go ahead and put the muscles back on, just so you're kind of generally aware. And ultimately, I'm never going to look at a shoulder without screening the neck. If I take these back off, you can just see all these nerve roots. And all of them for the shoulder generally stem from this lower cervical here.